he knows all that history, right?
Hmm.
Is very, 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 very cognizant of that, right? So even though he chose to fight as a Virginian
Hmm.
with the Confederacy, it's not lost on him the larger picture here historically.
Well, at the same
And
time,
as the conflict, right? Yeah.
I'm just gonna say at the same time, what's the Union asking him to do? Shoot at his own house? You know,
Well,
like
yeah,
this
it gets
is
very, yeah, it gets rather crazy, right? Yeah,
yeah, like what
how are you gonna do that, right?
what
Yeah,
what am I gonna do? Shoot at my own
what are we gonna
house?
do? Yeah,
Like what?
it's like,
No,
yeah,
like. But the thing
no,
about it
no,
is like he had been, as far as I understand, in Virginia, he had been advocating for abolitionism, but at the same time, like you know, he's not in charge of that. Like he's not a representative. He
no,
was in the military, so he's not politically there. The state of Virginia is seceding, and he can't
yes,
control that,
no,
right?
I can't control that at all.
It's almost kind of
No, but
like, go ahead.
yeah, but we can control those. Sorry, but I'm going to get back to the point you made earlier that I kind of exclaimed on so strongly was knowing when to stop. So there's an excellent book I recommend everybody read. And you think I'm crazy to tell you that there's this exciting history book. Like, doesn't that sound like an oxymoron? Yeah, exciting history book called April 1865.
Hmm.
And it's about what happened day by day, and it actually goes a little broader than just the month of April. But what happened was day by day in the leading up to the end of the Civil War. And that month of April 1865 is fascinating. And one of the things that's fascinating about it is that without discussion, Lee and Grant and Lincoln were actually of the same mind about what had to happen as the war was coming to a close, that there had to be an ending of putting down arms and going back to homes, and no punishing, no flogging, no imprisoning, no taking it out. We're the victors. We're gonna, no, lay down your arms, because they all, in their own way, understood this is about the country. The country, we're still a country, and if this is over, which it did end at Appomattox, right?
Hmm.
That then therefore we're all Americans, and it's got to, and I got to believe that Lee was drawing on his place in the family, the Lee family, and his understanding of all that, which allowed him to accept that, and not be a firebrand, not be a terrorist, not be out there continuing to fight,
Right.
encouraging skirmishes and all that. That he could have, right. We take it for granted. Then the book makes this point. We take it for granted that the war just ended just on this one day so peacefully. Didn't have to end that way. This was a brutal conflict.
Yep.
It could have been awful, right?
Right.
But the leadership of the country, Lee, Lincoln, and Grant,
Hmm.
and were of the same mind, and they set the example. Their leadership and their courage set the example, and people followed their example. And in fact, there was no punishing going on. And so then Lee literally went back home, and Stratford was lost at that point, and moved into a row house in Richmond, and led a quiet life essentially, not encouraging conflict, and not encouraging argument, and wanting the nation to heal. And to me, that was huge. To me, it was really huge, and it shows that he remained throughout loyal to the ideals that his family had always represented and fought for, and that is something we just take for granted, but it is significant. It is very significant.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where my head's at with it as well as I've done the studying that I've done, and I know there's so many more who've done so much more, but it's not that the Union wins, right, and federalism and control wins, but rather America wins, right, and our nation now is it's the Civil War that allows our nation to be one nation under God. So it's
Yes.
during the Gettysburg Address where Abraham Lincoln says, "Fourscore and 7 years ago, our forefathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal."